guys.
Hi.
Oh, I'm going to start this with the camera.
Welcome to our live.
It's the Ashley Gus show.
It is, or the Gus and Ashley show.
The event planners, what goes wrong behind the scenes.
What goes wrong?
No, what happens when something goes wrong?
What goes on? Oh, right. So tonight we're talking about what happens when things go wrong.
Plan B.
Because things go wrong.
I can't get these cameras right.
The camera's wrong? What's wrong with the camera?
You are like in the center and I'm like over here. Anyway.
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
We're off center today.
We're centered on the Instagram account.
Okay, good.
Hi, Instagram people.
Hi, Instagram.
Anyway.
Hi, LinkedIn.
Tonight we're talking about Plan B.
Woo!
We've been planning events for a really long time.
I even wrote it.
And something
always
doesn't go according to plan. Most of the time,
it's sort of the plan.
It's sort of
something's not going to go to the plan.
Most of the time, it's minor, but every once in a while, it's
more
change venues, day of event. Like that's major.
Yeah, you did that once, and you told me about it, and I was just like, I can't even.
And we've done that.
We've
done that twice.
We had an issue.
We've done that twice since then.
Okay, well, you know what? This is what this is like, and
so I've actually changed venues four times. It's like within a week of the event.
I've now done it twice.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's a big one. But let's just talk about what are some of the things you might need a plan B for. And this could be anything.
I mean, just like in life, right? I mean, I don't know if you have kids, and if you do, if they belong to or are enrolled in any services in terms of either. I'm getting kicked out. If they're in, anything, if it could be daycare, it could be school, it could be anything. They're always asking for emergency backup information. Who's the emergency contact? You know what? You need that. You need that for your business. You need that for everything in your life. You need to do that when you put an event together. So, and once you do, right?
Yeah.
You have a plan.
And you can say nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to go wrong, but
something's going to go wrong.
One of our mentors always says, people say, I don't have time to do that. If the house was on fire, you'd have time to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So there are things.
That's it. And I think speaking from experience, and I think I speak for both of us on this, when you have a plan, it's so much easier when that whatever happens comes up that you can go, oh, I don't like this, but I have a plan for it.
We've been doing this so long now, though, that
so long.
I don't want to dare say we've seen it all, but we've seen a lot.
I don't want to say we've seen it all. We probably haven't seen it all.
There's
stuff I really don't want to see. So
yeah, but
I'm just gonna put that
anyway, we have a toolkit. An imaginary toolkit, but let's look at logistics.
Okay.
So planning for logistics, a plan B for logistics. So logistics can be anything from a power outage.
It's happened.
Plumbing problems.
It's happened at your event.
Yeah. Oh my God. Remember that one?
Plumbing event. It was more like.
Oh, this is great.
Go
this
ahead.
This is great. Oh my God. I've done so much shit. I forget this stuff happens.
Oh my God.
So we're doing a grand opening party for, it was a dueling piano bar. And we're doing a grand opening party.
And it was a beautiful day.
Beautiful summer day.
And then
it was like June.
All of a sudden, it was like crash.
Deluge.
Just buckets
of rain.
You couldn't see. We were standing at the window of the establishment, and we could not see across the street. And it wasn't particularly wide street.
Anyway,
I mean, it was bad.
Anyway,
so the rain's crazy crashing down. We were in an area that perhaps was not terribly high up, and it was also not exactly.
We were down below street level,
and it wasn't particularly brand new.
No.
So
my photographer comes out of and the event's just starting. There's a line wrapped around the building. This is a VIP.
Soaked.
Everybody's supposed to be at the party. He's getting into this party because we invited them free of charge. 2-hour open bar. Great showcasing the venue. This is an amazing space. The photographer comes out of the bathroom and there's nobody in the place yet. He's like, Gus, the bathroom's flooding. I'm like, it'll be all right. And so I grabbed the management and staff, and they went back there, and they don't come out. And now we've opened the doors, and people are rushing into the venue. And
did he go back in there?
he never came out.
The photographer?
Oh, the photographer stood outside.
Right, okay.
But so then they're like, hey, somebody comes to me and said, Gus, there's a real problem in the bathroom. You better go in there and check this out. And I'm like, okay, how bad can it be? As I'm walking to the bathroom, which is at the other end of this building, it's probably about 150 feet long, it looks like water from the ocean on the sand is coming out. It's getting thicker and thicker and has ripples in it.
It has waves.
It has
it's so
waves.
bad it has waves.
By the time I get to the bathroom, I'm standing in about 4 inches of water.
Ugh.
I get into the bathroom, and every toilet in the bathroom has water shooting out at 6 feet up in the air like a fountain. Looks like
Whee!
Longwood Gardens or Disney World. There's fountains shooting straight up.
Like, oh my God.
The entire block flooded.
Yeah.
We got about 6 inches of water in the venue. We had to get everybody out. We rescheduled the party. Plan B was to reschedule the party for a later date, but it was just
nuts.
The building next door.
Yeah, they were
had 6 feet of water. They were 6 feet of water in the bar restaurant. But anyway, so that was talk about logistics and things going wrong. So that was the plan B was to reschedule the event to another thing.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of stand there in the middle of it, and this event was just starting, and we're like, okay, yay, the dueling piano guys are showing up, the food's here, and it's that moment where you realize like we could try to continue this as it is, but it's probably not going to be a good memory for people.
Here's a good one: transportation. So, we once did an event at the Hard Rock when the Hard Rock was in Chicago.
Yes.
TSA was having a little bit of a meltdown
at both Chicagoland airports.
Yes.
And someone reported it.
It was on the news. It was on the news.
It was on Twitter. It was sort of mid-morning, and somebody said, "Hey, if you guys have a flight this afternoon, you might want to leave the conference early. Thanks." Early because the lines, apparently the TSA security lines are just ridiculously long.
Typically our event would end about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon.
So
we
actually one of our speakers offered to speak during lunch.
Right.
He's like, if we can get lunch in here, I can speak during lunch and then we can finish early and then everybody gets to the airport on time.
And we were very fortunate. We were lucky with the venue. The venue was able to move our lunch venue from where it was to another place where it was suitable for the speaker to speak and have that done.
Exactly.
But that's a plan B instead of oh shit, what are you going to do?
Yeah, some people might throw their hands up in the air and just say, oh, well, that's too bad. Whoever, wasn't planning to stay should probably leave early because that's not fair to the speakers who are, there later. So it worked out.
I've dealt with 2 fires day before the event. One time at an event while we were having the event. We were very fortunate that
it was just the alarm and not the fire.
No, it wasn't fire.
Oh, it was a fire. That's right.
We had a kitchen fire.
We were running.
You weren't there. The first one, the one I had, we had a kitchen fire during the event.
We were hosting an event in St. Pete Beach, Florida, and there was a fire in the building, in one of the guest rooms above the meeting space, and we were like, oh wow, so we're in a different tower of the resort. And we're like, oh look, there's
a big resort. It was about a quarter mile away from us.
So we're like, oh, there are sirens and stuff. What's going on? We stick our heads out and then we walk over there because we then, as we get closer, realize...
It was the night before the event. We were going to dinner.
This is happening like at the space. At the space where we're hosting our meeting tomorrow. And then the people who were standing out there were like, oh yeah, somebody lit something on fire or something caught on fire.
Kids' remote control car, the battery caught on fire.
There you go.
And then I remember the teachers
were the ones who ignored the alarm.
It was a teacher weekend, and they thought there was
somebody just
fire
pulled the alarm. I'm sure it's fine. Anyway, everybody was okay. Everything was fine. The meeting went fine. But
road closures. We don't know what's going on the ground when we get to a venue. Usually we're doing a venue in a different city. We're not in that city until the day 2 days before, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, look, the main entrance is closed. Now what are we going to do?
They didn't have that on the website.
Yeah, they didn't have that on the website.
They didn't mention
and they don't
when
mention
we were talking about, getting this together.
They didn't mention they had elevators down the last time we did a venue.
Gosh.
And the elevators,
drove everybody
half the elevators were out of service once we got to the venue.
Literally half. So there were banks of elevators with 2 elevators. Each bank had 2. One was out because they were doing some maintenance. But I was like, had you let me know in advance, that might have been, I would have been able to then at least let our guests know, and then it wouldn't have been a surprise, right? So there's just that thing of like, and then sometimes you have to decide too, like, do they need to know everything, or would we be better off to just not say anything? But at least if you're in a position to make that decision yourself, I probably would have. I would have said something.
I'll stress this too, just that in planning, especially, I'm going to pick on a wedding. You plan a wedding, and you
like anybody's in particular?
No, but you just most of the time when someone's getting married, they have it planned out to the moment, to the T. Everything is perfect,
right?
What happens if, God forbid, the baker gets in an accident on the way to the venue and the cake gets destroyed? What are you going to do? I mean, it's just
no cake for you.
Yeah, man. I mean, for us, we've been doing this long enough. We'd probably do something fun, like
we'd run out and get tasty cakes.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. We'd run out and get tasty cakes or cupcakes or something.
Like, hey, can you bring?
Yeah,
I'd run out in my wedding gown. I'd be like, let's just get a bunch of
something like something like that, and it would be a story for us. But
sure.
Not everybody. It's not going to ruin your day. It's not if it ruins your wedding. You got bigger problems. Right now.
That's so true. I mean, you need to be able to laugh it off. You need to be able to make fun of yourself. But I mean, serious stuff can happen. But
So this is on the vendors. Keep it in perspective. Stuff on the vendors. So anything could go wrong. A vendor might not show up. You have to roll with it.
As best you can. Absolutely.
We had something that a vendor didn't show, and you're just like,
was I there?
I think you were. I think it was one of our events. Anyway, I can't remember. But
see how?
Oh, I know another thing. Like,
good.
We were in Vegas, and the stuff we had materials for the event didn't get delivered or got delivered to the wrong address, and you can't find it. And people are asking,
it's like, we don't have it.
What are you gonna do? It's just, you can't. It was custom stuff. You couldn't get it remade,
and it was specifically for that event. So the fact that we didn't get it, we were just like,
the fact that we wasted like hundreds of dollars on not.
Or one time we ordered stuff and it got there too late, and we paid extra for it to be there.
Oh, one time we ordered stuff,
and we had to expedite
and it got delivered.
And
they don't know where it got delivered.
We don't know who got it.
We had it 3 times.
That happened at the place we're going.
That's happened 3 times now.
Okay, somebody now has all of our, and we anyway.
All right, what happened when the speaker or entertainment doesn't show up?
You figure something else out.
I mean, I guarantee you, we have an event coming up in 2 weeks.
Oh, don't.
We got no. You know this. We've got like 18 to 25 speakers coming.
Somebody
2 of them will not be there.
It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. 2 will not show up.
At that point, really, what you should do is in advance. I actually I'll prep the crowd. Like, I'll prep people who I know are attending the conference, and to say, hey, if something comes up and we end up having some space on the agenda, would you be willing to lead a brief discussion about a certain topic?
And they don't want to. They don't want to not show up.
Right.
Something's happened. The kid's gotten hurt. Their parents gotten sick.
The dog is sick.
They missed the flight. The flight's got this
stuff happens.
I mean, the last time we did an event, our flight got delayed 3 days.
Yeah.
Like after the event. If that was before the event,
we didn't get money for it.
Yeah. If that was before the event,
but seriously, you don't know. So again, it wasn't like I'm blaming the speakers in advance for not showing up.
If it was before the event,
we
would have driven.
It's true. You're right. We would have.
That
would have been our plan B.
That would have been plan B.
But and I guess part of that is to say, you were a Boy Scout. Be prepared. Like, be ready for this kind of stuff. It's almost always happened in my years of hosting conferences, and we do have 12 to 15 speakers pretty much lined up for a 2-day conference. It'll happen that somebody just can't make it, or somebody gets called out to a meeting early, or there was an emergency back in the office and they had to leave and aren't going to be able to speak. It's not about yelling at anybody, blaming anybody, getting angry about it. Stuff happens. So you make the paint stretch a little bit further into that blank spot and say, hey guys, this gives us an opportunity to talk about this other issue. Let's talk about it as a group. Or if there's somebody else there who can take the reins, if you've got a sponsor who didn't get their stuff together in time to have a speaking session, you might be able to say, hey, I'm going to give you 20 minutes right now. Go. Yeah.
So
yeah.
The next thing, technical difficulties.
Please stand by.
This one.
What?
This one's always, and it's so always now that it's
expected.
We have square pegs for round holes. There's a workaway. There's 12 different ways to do something. I literally we bring 2 suitcases of stuff.
Gus makes fun of
and
me
literally
saying that one of them's full of shoes,
but
it's
realistically
not.
1/3. I'm sorry,
tech stuff.
2/3 of one of those suitcases is what happens if.
Yeah.
There's stuff
so we
in there
have extra HDMI cables. We have extra USB drives. We have, I think we have
extension cords.
We have an extra laptop. We bring
extra laptop. We bring extra.
What are those things called that you use for plugs?
Duct tape, crazy glue, extra batteries.
I prefer Gorilla Glue.
Glue. I mean,
power strips.
We've had back in the day when we used to run our own AV. We've had projectors drop in the morning. And I have to go rent a car and go out to Staples. It's the quickest way to do it.
To buy a new projector.
You go buy a new projector. We've had projector batteries or projector light bulbs go bad.
That's true. That's happened. Yes.
We've had,
It's been. You don't want to hear the list, but
we didn't have on a national televised event that I was part of, and a network that we all know was going to televise our event, and we were missing a cable, and we missed the opportunity to have the event televised. You talk about and the crazy part was, as cool as that was,
it didn't ruin the event.
It didn't ruin the event.
Right.
It just would have been a cool feather in the cap to be like, hey, look, we were on national TV on a really big day. It was a big event on a big day.
That'd have been cool.
But one Cat 5 cable at midnight on a Sunday.
Bring a Cat 5 cable, man.
I've got freaking.
Well, that's it too. So you'll find that usually meeting locations, meeting venues, including hotels, have somebody on site for just those opportunities. And for them, it is an opportunity because they're going to charge you a truckload for that cable or whatever it is that you need. This is why we bring our own stuff with us, extra stuff with us, in case, just so we don't have to dive into that. But somebody will be there to take care of it for you. It's really just a matter of how much you're willing to spend to do that. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you.
The next one, Plan B, weather. And that can be
it happens.
Anything. I mean, I say anything. We often do our events, almost always do our events where the climate is
nice,
temperate, nice.
Yeah.
Usually 75,
nice.
80
I go so
degrees.
far as to say nice.
Sit outside. We do that on purpose. We might have lunch outside. We might have.
It's just a lovely thing to do, and we're less likely to have a snowstorm hit. Freak snowstorm hitting, the Tampa area of Florida is not likely to happen.
But we're likely to have rain.
Thunderstorms.
Thunderstorms,
absolutely.
something like that.
We actually attended an event
this is wild.
in Marco Island, Florida in August. And the reception for dinner where we were was all outside. And we're like...
And it was a ridiculous reception.
Spread. Yeah, the spread
lobster.
Was it had
lobster.
It had everything you would
whole
want it
pig.
to have.
I mean, anything you could imagine from they actually had their
the
entire
food stations
catering.
All set
they were
up.
showcasing the venue. They had their entire menu.
Well, here's what's funny about the fact that they were showcasing their venue was that when it started raining, buckets, very similar to the bucket rain situation that we had with Gus's event. This is a different event. I mean,
this wasn't our event.
This was not our event. we were all kind of blown away when we made our way from, hiding under the tent and realizing this rain was not going to stop. And then they got us inside relatively dry.
There's two. Wait a minute. What they did? Wait a minute.
To the dessert room.
There's 200 people in a tent. It's a big tent. There probably 8.
They didn't have their own backup plan.
They probably had 8
We had
carving stations.
Yeah, I know.
The water was raining so hard off the tent, it looked like you were behind a waterfall.
Right. Oh no, it was insane.
But then what they did, what was really insane too.
Yeah.
They used the patio umbrellas to shuttle us in, because that's how hard it was raining. A regular umbrella,
like a regular umbrella would not have worked. We had those big ones that you have, draped over your
table for 10.
Your table for 10. So
anyway,
they kind of shuttled us back and forth using these massive umbrellas to get us back inside. But then once we were inside, they hadn't set up any kind of dinner.
Yeah.
Or food, so there was just dessert. We were like, I haven't had dinner yet because we were outside. Remember? And the funniest part was, and I'll just put this little piece in. All of the guests at this event were event planners,
and we were all just like,
"It's South Florida. This is gonna happen, right? Like no backup plan. No backup plan.
Yeah, our event. We didn't have backup plans because our event. I mean. We like to have our meals outside, but it could be too hot, too cold, rain,
right, or super windy, windy. In which case, you always need a backup. And usually, the hotels or meeting venues that you work with will have a backup space.
Well, even when we did the beer festivals that were multiple thousands of people, our biggest because once you put them in motion, you couldn't change the date. So because the tents. We would get tents big enough, or we had indoor coverage big enough in case the weather got south.
Yeah.
That everybody would be able to be in covered area. Though most of it was outside, we had enough storage for like 7,500 people. That's not really storage. We had enough indoor space for 7,500 people between our tents and the venue.
Yeah.
And we couldn't go bigger than that because in case of inclement weather.
Right.
But that was just pre-planning.
Exactly. But that's it. In the planning process of that beer festival that you did, it was, what do we do if? What do we do if? What do we do if? And actually, Gus is like that guy. He's like, I'm the one who plans things for everything that goes well. And Gus is like, well, what if this? What if this? What if this? He's not a negative person. He's literally
I'm a positive person. I want to take care of my customers.
Exactly.
I want to make sure that
he's making sure that if something goes wrong, because it will, that we have a plan. So that's.
I mean, I joke, and I've probably said it on here before when I introduced myself. I'm Gus, the events guy. I keep the ice cold.
He does.
And people are like, what? Like, yeah. Realistically, my idea of a successful event is I'm having a martini on the rocks at the end of the event. Somebody got the ice cold. Somebody made sure the glass was clean. Somebody made sure the vodka got stored and there was enough of it that everybody got. Because if the event's going smooth, I get to have a drink and engage with the guests and enjoy myself. But I look at the end of the event and then figure out everything in between. Just try to mitigate
what could go
negative
wrong.
Outcomes as much as possible.
Absolutely, because it's really about it too, and this is similar to when Gus and I fly, and we fly a lot. If there's turbulence, if something gets a little wacky on the plane, the first people that we look at are the flight attendants, and how are they reacting? If they're panicking, crying, and calling their families, we know it's appropriate for us to start panicking and crying and calling our families.
Fortunately, it's never happened.
Most of the time, they're like, "Oh, this again."
And then
they just kind of handle it, and we're like, "Okay, you know what? If they're not panicking, I'm not going to panic. Wouldn't do anybody any good anyway." This is the same thing that we do when we're at our events. It's that moment where something's not happening the way it's supposed to. You just need to kind of stop, think, and just readjust and understand, like, our goal is to make sure that the people who are here for this event have immense value from being at our event. We want them to go home saying, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing." Now, what we really would want them to do if something negative or unexpected happens is to say, oh my God, that was amazing. And this happened and they handled it perfectly. Right?
Yeah, and then usually something happens and they handle it perfectly.
There you go.
So
not everybody
again,
does.
if we're at a venue, I mean,
chill.
usually the likelihood of you putting on an event in a let me step back. I've done events in raw space, and what I mean by that is I don't even know if you've done this. We might go to a field, set up a tent, set up a kitchen, bring in all the chairs and the band and the stage and the electricity.
I've never done that.
I've done this a few times.
Okay. That sounds like a lot of work.
It's usually a couple days.
Yeah.
But when
I'm not saying I'm shying from hard work. I would just rather something more established.
But the other side of the coin is most of the time, if you're running an event or you're doing an event, at a let's just say a restaurant, you're doing a small dinner at a restaurant, 25 people. The restaurant does this 2-3 times a week, if not more, and they've been doing it for the last 10 years.
Exactly. Which is why
I'm not going to say they've seen it all, but they probably have seen it all.
They've probably seen most of it. I had an event in Las Vegas. It was not one of mine. I was working for a conference company at the time, and the conference company booked the space. They said, well, we don't want to have it in a casino hotel, so we're having it in a non-casino hotel. And it was not a very nice non-casino hotel. So
one of those.
We get, not that bad, but it was pretty bad. Like instead of bringing in like a little bowl, they had bagels and cream cheese. And first of all, they brought it in from an outside caterer. The flatware that they had for the serving was all plastic.
It was like sports.
It was like on a in your plate. Yeah, kind of. And the plate was like styrofoam. It was awful. And then the cream cheese, couldn't even put it into into a crappy bowl. They had packets, so we're all walking around with those little packets of Philadelphia cream cheese.
I almost rather have that.
But then right as we're starting the conference and our keynote presenter comes up, the people in the meeting next door start blasting music as part of their event. And we were like you couldn't hear anything in our meeting space. And it was just like, are you kidding me? And they kept sending me this meek little person from the, this poor woman. I felt so sorry for her from the catering office was like, what do you need? How can I help? And I'm like, isn't it kind of obvious? We are having, we can't do this. And anyway.
So the last thing we'll talk about.
Last thing we'll talk about are the things you really hope don't happen.
Emergencies. When we do larger utility events, we actually do we
have a safety moment.
We moment.
We kick off every conference with a safety moment.
The utility industry,
they're really good at this.
Well, as much as you might not like or do like your local utility, people die in that industry. And
they're dealing with a product that is either, flammable or can kill them. So safety is absolutely number one for almost every utility I've ever come in contact with. And every meeting that they host, usually even a small meeting of, say, 3 or 4 people, that kicks off with a safety moment.
And what that looks like, a safety moment will look like someone will figure out where the exits are.
So in case of a fire, be aware of locate where the nearest exit is right now so that you know where to go.
Where the meeting place is for everybody, who's got a list of the attendees.
So that we can.
Where's a second backup meeting place just in case that meeting place becomes compromised.
Exactly.
Defibrillator?
Defibrillator, yes.
Defibrillator?
I believe so.
Who's going to call 911 if something goes wrong in this room?
Who knows how to use a defibrillator?
Anybody know CPR?
Right, and then the hands go up.
Yeah, the hands go up.
Okay.
You're responsible. Now that's extreme, but that's what it looks like. Now, other side of the coin, you have a God forbid someone takes ill in your event or at your event, and it even could be a family event. Call 911. But just quickly.
Don't mess around.
Don't mess around.
Call 911.
One of the interesting things when we did small events, I say small events, 200 to 1,000 people, we had to bring in our own EMTs and security.
Right. But when you get to a certain size.
You get bigger, you use the local authorities. Yeah. You might have to write a check, but you use the local authorities, you use the local police, you use the fire department, ambulance. They're used to 911 emergencies, and I guarantee you, You get 5,000 people together and they're drinking, like a lot of the events I've done.
It's
someone's going away in an ambulance. I don't care. It's a numbers game.
Flat out.
Flat out.
We're not encouraging it. We're hoping it doesn't happen.
Someone's going to get arrested. And someone's going to go away in an ambulance.
Happen.
And just because people are stupid.
People are people.
Anyway.
So I think, just in general, something's going to happen. Be prepared for it.
The only medical emergency we've ever had at our conferences.
Go ahead. I'm going to see if he remembers the same one I remember.
This one.
Oh, me.
This one.
I was thinking of somebody else. Somebody at EMT showed up for somebody in the hallway and put him on an IV drip. And I was like, ooh.
But Ashley had a fall before an event where she should have gone to the hospital. But unfortunately, we didn't have a backup plan for Ashley.
No.
We had to run Ashley. Couldn't replace Ashley. And
so I have a nice big scar on my knee. That's okay. I didn't have any scars of anything, so it was kind of nice to be like, no, I've got a scar.
I could give you some.
But it was kind of ugly.
Anyway,
so
having that contingency, having that plan B is really important. I'm trying to think of some other things that might happen. I mean, just that, an event is a period in time, and especially if you're go back to a wedding, it's 6 hours. It's 5-6 hours.
People are
I hate to say you can always bail.
Well, yeah.
You don't want to do that, but...
But I would just say, too, especially if you're hosting an event, your people are not in their normal comfort zone.
If you were
they're usually in a space that they're not used to being in. And then people are traveling to and from a space that they're not used to doing. So we try to just prepare folks as much as possible for here's what it's like at the resort. Here's what it'll be like from your, ride to the airport to the resort. Here's what it's like, just so you're giving people not so much a heads up, but just some comfort, right? Okay, I know what to expect.
No one likes change.
Right.
I probably like it more than anybody, but
if you know what you're supposed to expect, it's a little bit easier, right? And we try to make our attendees as comfortable as possible. So
unexpected. And there's some other things that can be unexpected, especially if you're doing your own event. What's your handicap setup? If someone has disabilities.
ADA,
can you take care of them?
Yes, making sure that the hotel has a backup plan for. And
there's not always and it might require. Grandma's in a wheelchair, and you're planning a beach wedding.
How are you getting
the wheelchair? The wheelchair with the big wheels has to be there someplace.
Right,
Somebody's got to take care of it.
There are a lot of little details, and all I can say, and with my experience with Gus and my experience before Gus, the more you pay attention to to those little details, the more you can just relax and enjoy your event.
And let me also,
and so can everybody else.
Let me also say this: your plan B, especially if you're working with a venue, might be to ask the venue, "What do you recommend?"
Use all
your resources. I'm sure they've seen it.
Yeah.
Use all your resources that you can.
Yeah. Cool.
Other than that, we're going to let you go.
We are.
See you
Thanks
on,
for joining
next week.
us.
Have a great night, and we'll talk to you later.